Video game history is rife with many evil guys. There's Jackio from 8-Bit Ninja Gaiden, Geese Howard from Fatal Fury, and Diablo from, well, Diablo, for example. Still, when it comes to being truly evil, I don't think any of those guys can hold a candle to the folks who designed the levels for Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for the Nintendo Wii U. A platformer with a style that harkens back to the days when games tested players' brains and reflexes to the limit, Tropical Freeze's cute, colorful exterior masks a juicy center that basically serves as an exercise in finding all sorts of evil ways to make your furry simians die over and over and over and over again. And again. And I loved every minute of it. For old school gamers, Tropical Freeze is basically the video game equivalent of stories about how you used to walk 2 miles in the snow to reach school. If you think you're hotshot with today's shooters and action games, I recommend trying this game out before you trumpet your video game prowess to your buddies and the entire interwebs. Only then will old school gamers give you the proper respect and not tell you to get off their lawn. For those unfamiliar with the series, Tropical Freeze continues the 2.5D gameplay of its predecessors by mixing classic 2D side-scrolling platforming with a 3D presentation. The result is a game that features the best of both worlds, including the precision controls of 2D games and the visual splendor of 3D. Tropical Freeze specially builds on the last release in the series, Donkey Kong Country Returns for the Wii, by further improving on its presentation and graphics. The good news is that the game looks great even on my ginormous 83-inch TV, so you can at least look good even during an epic fail. The fact that it runs at a buttery 60 frames per second also helps with navigating the many platforms, vines, watery depths, and bottomless chasms that abound in the game, and there are a lot of them. In fact, this pure platformer is deviously designed to not so subtly push you in the direction of various enemies, hazards, and deadly pits. This means strategically placed obstacles and foes mixed in with disintegrating platforms and slippery slopes of the figurative and literal kind. This is done via a mix of various mechanics. You have standard side-scrolling platformer parts as well as on-rail sections in a mining cart or a barrel rocket that essentially features the same basic idea that inspired games like Flappy Bird. God rest its flappy soul. Your success basically rests on 4 things: concentration, memorization, quick reflexes, and a bottomless pit of patience. Even an old schooler such as myself who personally lived the 8-bit and 16-bit heyday of similar games required a bit of practice, as the first few stages proved to be rough on my ego as I reacclimated myself to what a hardcore platformer is all about. Eventually though, I got into a tropical groove and amassed nearly 50 extra lives by the time I finished the second to last island. Hooray for me! Then I watched in sheer horror as I lost life after life after life going through all the stages in the final island as I desperately tried to familiarize myself with each new stage. By the time I reached the final boss, I was down to 2 lives while my brain was inundated with all sorts of patterns and my pride was pretty much on life support. It's a bittersweet, blister-inducing feeling I haven't felt since playing games like Adventure Island, Battletoads, the NES Ninja Gaiden games, and Gunstar Heroes. The good news is that you don't have to go at it by your lonesome thanks to co-op play. Just note that doing so comes with its own pros and cons. On one hand, you have more staying power as you can use remaining lives to respawn provided one of you is still alive. The bad news is that you can burn through lives like Joey Chestnut going through hot dogs at Coney Island, especially if you do what I did and play the bulk of the game with a 10-year-odd cousin. Odd things I do to train the next generation. Even when playing solo, you can still avail of partners who each have their own skill set. Diddy can hover farther, Dixie can float and jump higher, while Cranky is crankier and has a unique bounce jump. Diddy and Dixie can specially make stages easier, but all bets are off if you lose them and have to rely solely on Donkey Kong with nary a partner barrel in sight. That's how you lose nearly 50 lives. Controls, meanwhile, are rock solid for the most part, although there are some hiccups that can induce roid rage when things get hot and hectic. One is mapping the ground pound to the same button for rolling, which can cause many an unexpected death if you mix them up. The other involves issues with the wall grab if your angle is slightly off. Overall though, Tropical Freeze is easily one of the best controlling games I've ever played, if you get stressed out by bottomless pits, disintegrating platforms, and precision jumps, then get down on all fours and run away from this game as far as you can. If you welcome such challenges and love old school platforming and goofy characters and bosses however, then you'll go bananas over Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.